Let's be honest, the old playbook for workplace culture is completely broken. For today's top talent, those vague promises about inclusion just don't cut it anymore. They expect your entire business, and I mean everything, right down to the software on their screen, to be built for equity from the ground up.
So let's start with a story that feels way too familiar. An employee joins a company and they're super excited about the mission. But just a few weeks in, they realize they're constantly fighting the system. Maybe it's software that doesn't work with their screen reader, or maybe it's being the only one in a room who has to explain their community's point of view over and over again. You see, this isn't just about hurt feelings, it's a fundamental breakdown in the actual infrastructure of work itself.
In that story, it really shines a light on this massive disconnect. It's not just about making people feel welcome. It's about giving them the actual structural and tech support they need to do their best work. Because if the tools themselves are putting up walls, all that talk about culture is frankly meaningless.
I mean, look at this gap. On one side, you've got what every employee now expects, an inclusive culture with modern, flexible, and accessible tools. But the reality they often walk into? Teams where everyone looks and thinks the same, wrestling with clunky, one-size-fits-all software and processes that just won't bend. This is exactly where your best talent gets fed up and where innovation goes to die.
And this isn't some minor complaint we can just brush off. This is a full-blown generational mandate. There's a new wave of professionals coming in, and they're not just asking for change, they're demanding it. And if they don't find it with you, they will absolutely go find it somewhere else.
So what is it they're demanding? Well, it's what we call true equity. And this goes so much deeper than just hitting some diversity quotas. It means building an environment where every single person, and that includes Indigenous or ethnic Americans and people with disabilities, has fair access, real opportunity, and the specific support systems they actually need to succeed.
And look, the data on this is crystal clear. A huge 83% of millennials and Gen Z say they feel way more engaged when their company is actively building an inclusive culture. For them, inclusion isn't some fluffy perk, it is the absolute baseline for their commitment and their productivity.
So, here's the real kicker. The problem isn't just about people's attitudes, it's about the architecture. So many companies are trying to operate on systems that were built 20, even 30 years ago for a workforce that just doesn't exist anymore. These outdated systems are the real root cause of the huge disconnect we're all seeing today.
So how in the world do we fix this? Well, the good news is that modern technology is giving us a brand new toolkit to bridge this gap. It's changing not just how we work, but really who can thrive at work. The jump we've made here is just incredible. Think back to 2015. Work was all about manual processes and software that forced everyone into the same rigid box. Accessibility? Yeah, that was an afterthought, if it was a thought at all. Now you fast forward to today, and our systems are using AI-driven insights to find hidden talent, and our collaborative platforms have accessibility features baked right in from the start.
And AI can be this incredibly powerful force for equity, but only if we use it right. For example, it can scan resumes based on skills, not on names or backgrounds, for truly bias-free hiring. It can build personalized growth plans for every single employee. It's the engine behind amazing digital accessibility tools like real-time captioning in meetings. It can even nudge us to use more inclusive language in our emails and chats. It's a game changer.
Okay, so this isn't just some far-off theory. Let's look at a real-world example of how a huge employer is actually putting these ideas into practice and totally evolving for the modern age.
I want you to think about a massive employer, like the Australian retailer Woolworths. In the past, their success might have been measured by just looking at diversity numbers. But today, a supercritical metric is their Digital Accessibility Index score. It's basically a grade on how usable their internal systems are for every single employee. Hitting a 95% score means their digital workplace is truly engineered for just about everyone, including folks who rely on assistive technologies every day.
So their modern playbook is totally powered by tech. They're using AI to spot and offer upskilling opportunities fairly, making sure promotions aren't just about who you play golf with. It also means they're deploying assistive tech, things like screen readers and voice command software, as standard issue tools for everyone, not as some special request you have to fight for. This approach massively strengthens their support for First Nations and refugee employment by making the whole digital experience seamless from day one.
Now, this all sounds pretty great, right? But what about the companies that are dragging their feet? What happens if you just decide to ignore this and stick with the old ways? Well, the risks are pretty existential. First and foremost, you become irrelevant. Seriously, Think about Kodak, stubbornly making film while digital cameras were taking over the world. This shift towards equity and accessibility isn't some passing trend, it's the new reality of the market. If your organization isn't built for it, you are going to get left behind.
Next up, you're going to bleed talent. The most skilled, the most ambitious people, especially from the younger generations, have zero tolerance for being held back by exclusive cultures or clunky, inaccessible tools. They'll just leave. They will find an employer who actually empowers them to do their best work.
And finally, your brand is going to take a massive hit. In the world we live in now, a company's internal culture is basically public knowledge. A reputation for being inequitable or outdated will make it almost impossible to attract the next generation of talent you need to innovate and even just to stay afloat.
So the path forward couldn't be clearer. If you want to future-proof your business, you have to move beyond just talking a good game. You have to start engineering equity right into the core of your operations, your systems, and especially your technology.
If you take away just one thing today, please let it be this. This is not just about doing the right thing. In the 21st century, creating a truly equitable organization, one that's powered by accessible technology, is the single greatest competitive advantage you can possibly build. It's what will drive your innovation and what will guarantee your success for years to come. So, I'll leave you with this. Don't just ask if your culture feels inclusive. Ask if your software is actually accessible. Ask if your promotion systems promote genuine fairness. Ask yourself, is my entire workplace, from top to bottom, truly engineered for the incredible talent of today and tomorrow?